Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email address in the description below for buying this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. And this watch is not on our website, so you will want to reach out to me at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. This is a special timepiece, historic FP Journe from the early days of production. This is the early production Octa Reserve de Marche, a timepiece 38 millimeters in the now discontinued 38 millimeter case size, comprised of platinum. The watch is wonderfully compact. As you can see, it measures only 44.7 millimeters lug-to-lug, 10.2 millimeters thick, though with a full-size 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Let's throw the watch on the wrist real quick, and you can see that the 38, discontinued in 2015, is a wonderful case size. It sits low, close coupled to the wrist, with the shape of the lugs being wonderful, as it always is with FP Journe watches, turning 90 degrees down from the case band and wrapping around the wrist. I can recommend this for a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference, and you can see how easily it ducks underneath the cuff. Let's take a look at the hardware and the software. As you can see, the strap navy blue, large rectangular scale alligator leather, monotone stitch, folded edge, semi-gloss. Turn it upside down. You can see this is a recent FP Journe strap. It's not as old as the watch. It has the pull tab spring bars on the bottom to quickly remove without the use of a tool, and you can see there's small scale alligator leather on the bottom as well as the top. That was a later change to FP Journe straps to make them last longer, so this is a durable strap. You'll also appreciate the fact that the platinum watch features a matching platinum pin buckle. Let's take a quick look at the case. Polished in profile, this will be familiar to connoisseurs of the brand. There's a little bit of an overlapping lip to the case back in the bezel, a mid-case defined by those boundaries, all of high polish. The lugs are gorgeous, integrated Calatrava style, but with a lovely teardrop downward turn and a flatted underside, all of high polish. You can see the knurled and double dimpled signature FP Journe crown. The bezel is of domed profile. The dial, media blasted yellow gold with a black polished steel bezel for the hours, minutes, and seconds, held in place by black polished dial side bolts. You have bolts holding on the bezel and the primary dial, and then the outer dial features its own dial side bolts. FP Journe designed this system, devising the visible assembly screws during the 90s. It was considered to be rebarbative at the time, but ultimately it became beloved and hugely influential. He was ahead of the industry. As you can see, the biomorphic blue Journe tapered hands, featuring on the hours, minutes, as well as the power reserve indicator. And this is not one of those inverted FP Journe power reserves. This one represents the true time remaining in the power reserve. While nominally indicated as 120 hours, that's the chronometric or precise running power reserve. The watch will run, if left to exhaustion, for almost 7 days. Now the timepiece, of course, features a double-digit date. Let's just make sure we're not in the date change zone. Okay, we're not. So the watch features, for complications, both the power reserve and the double-digit date, and the date has a quick set mechanism, so you can rapidly reset it should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. As you can see, a gloriously clean early FP Journe dial. Turn it over, and we have another early sign of FP Journe. Well, before we talk about the movement, which is brass, let's talk about the case. As you can see, it features the maker's mark of Eleanor and the double hallmarks, both French and Swiss, because Eleanor, then located outside of Paris, was FP Journe's original case supplier, dating back to his pocket watch days in the 1980s. Right up until about 2008, Eleanor continued supplying cases and buckles to FP Journe until the entire operation was purchased and moved to Geneva to become Boîtier de Genève. FP Journe's dial and case factory, Cadronier and Boîtier, are in one building. So you have those Eleanor maker's mark and of course the double hallmarks. Now you can also see this case is stamped 03. Right up until about 2005, FP Journe cases were stamped as of the year of their manufacture. Now it's important to note that FP Journe's cases are not necessarily indicative of the age of the watch. The case number is the age of the case as manufactured, so the timepiece itself was likely assembled a little bit later. Caliber 1300 in its first iteration, FP Journe's first automatic movement. You have a rose lathe cut 22 karat mass, and note that beautiful Grand Doge or barley corn guilloche with black polish. It's a 22 karat mass, not 21, not 18K, not tungsten. No expense spared to create maximum inertia and polar moment for winding efficiency. But this one is unusual in that it features its original winding mechanism. Internally, these early 1300s used bidirectional winding, and if you shake the watches and there's no freewheeling, you know you're looking at one of the early calibers with its original bidirectional winding internals, making it more collectible. The bridges, of course, and the plates are brass. The reason they're silver is because, as in Swiss fashion, they are rhodium plated to help to preserve them against oxidation. These are early movements. About mid-2004, FP Journe stopped building brass movement watches, and thus these are considered highly collectible. The 38mm, the Octa Automatique Reserve, and of course you have the brass movement and the Eleanor maker's marks, compounding the collectability of this watch. Beaten away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, adjusted in a chronometer style 5 positions, and free sprung, it's a little bit more shock tolerant than a mobile stud index. You could see circular Côte de Genève, the Grand Doge or barleycorn, the engine turned perlage on the base plate. You can see a mirrored chamfer on the edge of the bridges, as well as black polish on the screw heads. These were nicely executed movements in a 30-meter water-resistant watch. Again, compound collectability in this one, many discontinued features. Not on our website. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com to explore purchase opportunities.